The proposal, crafted with Israeli input but not yet fully accepted by Israel, delineates a two-phase plan. In the initial phase, Hamas would release between 20 to 33 hostages over several weeks in exchange for a temporary pause in hostilities and the release of Palestinian prisoners. The subsequent phase aims at achieving what sources term as restoration of sustainable calm, encompassing the exchange of remaining hostages, captive Israeli soldiers, and deceased hostages for additional Palestinian prisoners. Despite the delicate negotiations, the specter of a potential large-scale Israeli ground invasion looms over Gaza in the absence of a deal. However, such an operation is met with apprehension from Israel's allies, including the United States, due to concerns regarding civilian casualties. The urgency to reach an agreement is underscored by the impending meeting between Hamas and Egyptian and Qatari mediators in Cairo. Meanwhile, Israel prepares to dispatch a delegation comprising Mossad, Shin Bet, and military officials for discussions. Crucially, the proposed ceasefire duration hinges on the number of hostages released, with each hostage potentially corresponding to a one-day pause in hostilities. While earlier negotiations centered on releasing 40 hostages for a 6-week ceasefire, recent developments indicate a willingness to adjust this figure. The significance of these negotiations is echoed by statements from key stakeholders. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken characterizes Israel's ceasefire proposal as extraordinarily generous, urging swift action from Hamas. Egyptian Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry expresses hope for acceptance from both sides, emphasizing the need for a permanent ceasefire and addressing humanitarian conditions. Amidst these diplomatic efforts, the looming prospect of an Israeli offensive in Rafah adds urgency to the negotiations. However, Israeli sources suggest that a comprehensive deal brokered by Egypt remains the most viable path to avert such an operation. As the death toll continues to rise from Israeli airstrikes in Gaza, the need for swift and decisive action to end the violence becomes increasingly urgent. The international community watches closely as negotiations unfold, hopeful for a resolution that brings an end to the suffering and paves the way for lasting peace in the region. Recent developments in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas shed light on potential avenues towards a ceasefire. According to sources from both sides, Hamas is contemplating a new framework proposed by Egypt, aimed at quelling hostilities in Gaza.